During the early school years, your child will learn so much about so many aspects of life, including language. So tell me, Teagan, where should a 6/7-year-old be in terms of speech development?
So 6 and 7-year-olds are usually well into the swing of things at school. In terms of speech sounds, there should be very few errors. We might get the TH lagging a little bit behind, or the L sounds. But it is important that we are increasing their awareness of that because of the spelling. They're going to spell how they pronounce. So
yes,
it's worthwhile giving that little bit of extra support and a little bit of gentle feedback when you hear those errors. Otherwise, speech should be easily understood by anyone, no other concerns. Language, however, is a lot harder to track at this age because it's not always as clear if they're struggling. One of the biggest indicators is if they're not keeping up in the classroom, because that tells us they're struggling to keep up with the learning and they're not learning as fast, and we want to look at why. Quite often there is an underlying language delay, and by addressing that, we can help them to keep up in the classroom as the other children continue to move forward. But 6 and 7-year-olds are like little adults. They're talking, they can tell stories, there's lots of questions, they can answer the questions. There's not a lot they can't do. They, without even us realising it, can recognise, when there's words that have multiple meanings. And, they can understand the difference of when you might use ocean compared to lake, compared to creek, compared to river.
Yes.
So they're all bodies of water, but which one did you use when, and those sorts of things. So without us even realising a lot of the time, that's generally what they've got.
Yeah, I think my son said to me this morning, Mum, brisk can be for a walk or it can be temperature.
Yeah.
Yes, it can be.
Sometimes they surprise us. Teach us
He did
something
surprise
new.
me. I'm
Yeah.
like, yes, it is. So he's 6/7. So there you go.
Perfect. You're of course patting yourself on the back for that one.
I will now.
So yeah, they usually got their letters, numbers, colours, all those basic concepts should be pretty well mastered by now. Their grammar's usually adult-like. We shouldn't be hearing too many errors.
So what are some things for concern then at this age?
So by 6 or 7, if we're still seeing some grammatical errors like I runned really fast, or I drank, I writed my name really good,
Yes.
instead of wrote, those sorts of errors are now delayed.
Yep.
Should have resolved them by now. If there's a number of speech sound errors other than the TH or the L, so if you're still getting things like bish, or there's instead of fish, if there's sounds missing from the start or at the end, anything like that is cause for concern, because it should well be perfect.
Yeah.
Just about perfect. Other causes for concern are not keeping up in the classroom. And often teachers will recognise, that they can't follow instructions or they can't hold their attention. They're struggling to tell me what's happened, or they can't tell me a story, or they can't respond to questions about a story. Often teachers are the ones who pick this up at this age. So struggling in the classroom is usually one of the biggest indicators that we see.
And that's when they should definitely go into the GP or just come and see you direct.
Yeah, absolutely. The sooner we get on top of it, get them up to speed, we're sort of setting them up for the rest of their schooling years.
Yeah, because once they're behind, it's even harder.
Much harder to catch up.
So what are some things that parents can try at home then with their 6/7-year-olds?
Talking to the teacher and finding out what is it they're having trouble with, and seeing what you can do at home about that. Often your teachers will have some good suggestions. If it's things like following instructions, you might need to take the time to sort of get their attention first and go, I'm going to tell you 3 things to do. We need to, this, and this. We shouldn't have to do that, but we want our child to succeed. So if we can recognise some strategies that help, and feeding them back to the teacher as well. I found it helpful for my little one when I get their attention first and say, step it out on the fingers what their 3 jobs are, things like that. When you hear any speech or language delays, giving that gentle feedback, what we call recasting, where, if they say, I writed my name, you wrote your name. Yeah, you wrote it really good. I can also see that you wrote a whole story. That's really good. I wrote my name. So we're not necessarily saying, don't say that, say this.
Yeah.
Giving that really gentle feedback of what it should have been and keeping that conversation going.
Because parents are very good at shutting down a conversation, aren't we?
Yeah.
By correcting.
Yes, because we feel like it's our job, we need to fix this.
Well, I know my dad used to nail me about things when I was younger, so I think, you know, it's generational, but now recasting is the way to do it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of research showing it's actually more effective.
So let's face it, mums and dads, language is complicated. You know, many of us still struggle to say the right words, but, you know, if your child appears to be having difficulties communicating effectively at school, give the team at Talk Time Speech and Language Pathology a ring today.